And welcome back to the Coming Down the Aisle podcast. This is the Coming Down the Aisle segment where each week we have a special guest and a special watch along. And this week we've got not the vlogger plus wrestler equals Vestler.
There on the screen. Wait, there it is. Right there. Vestler, what's up, man?
The king of the Jack Pack, Jack Tomlinson. What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm good. Glad to be here. I'm realizing now that I brought a protein shake in here and I left it over there. So
go grab it.
Leave the frame. I was just thinking it's going to taunt me for the next 30 minutes to an hour.
Hey.
Stare at it.
Hey man, you got to get those G's and P's. You know,
G's and P's. Yes, here you can admire my memorabilia shelf.
Absolutely, yeah. So as of right now, we're looking at some Spider-Man pops. We got Brian Myers Elite, Kurt Hawkins Elite. We got Eric and Ivar. Those are some guys. You obviously, we got Brian Myers. You're one of your trainers, and you worked Eric and Ivar as well in Monday Night Raw a couple of years back. So, but how? Yeah. So, is that how you collect?
Everything up here has like a little bit of a sentimental feeling to it. Nothing. I don't collect figures as much as Brian has been very influential to me. He hasn't gotten me to a point where I just collect figures for the sake of collecting them. Yeah. So every figure I have is someone I wrestled before. So all the way up top. I mean, these are pops. I don't consider them in the wrestling figure. I just like pops. Most of them I haven't even gotten for myself. That was a gift. This was the first pop I ever got. It was Rey from Star Wars. This was a gift. 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 These are both gifts. So I actually only ever got one of these myself, and it was Rey. But all the figures here, for any of the major marks figures out here, the Kurt Hawkins figure up here in the blue and orange. In the back, I have it black and orange. That's because I wrestled Kurt Hawkins.
Okay.
Wrestled him on 205 Live. Viking Raiders had him on Raw. Smart Mark Sterling, who was actually my first ever match. I think I've worked Smart Mark more than I've worked anyone else in professional wrestling. So he's there. VSK, he helped train me. Wrestled him a couple times, teamed with him once. And then down here, we have Matt Cardona, Brian Myers, and in the back, this is the shirt Matt Cardona wore when we actually wrestled each other.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. My rookie card, which is also right
here.
We'll out to the ring for FWF Live 3 this weekend.
Yeah.
And the last thing on the shelf, all the way down here, we have Chris Statlander, who is my sister in professional wrestling, and MJF, which I have a feeling we'll talk more about in the bit. And then we got another Funko down here. There's a cute little story with that, but it'll probably take too much time. So I don't want to waste too much time on figs.
No, beautiful. We don't get to talk collection too much on here, even though I have obviously a collection behind me, as you can see. I got
pretty cool.
Pretty massive.
Is that the Myers figure? In the
back? It is. Yes, I've got it. I'm a psychopath. I've got one like closed up in the box. And then one that's not fully out of the box. So yeah, I'm a psychopath when it comes to that. But anyways, man, yeah. So in case anyone doesn't know, you are a Creative Pro graduate, graduated, and you now a Long Island University graduate. So congratulations on that too.
Yes, thank you. I have that flag right here too.
Beautiful. I like to kind of paint people's story, and especially wrestling story. And even though it's, very common to ask, but where did wrestling start for you? What was your first memory of wrestling?
It's funny you asked that, because that has to do with the story of the Funko I wasn't going to talk about. My first wrestling memory ever. I have like one memory walking into my dad and seeing John Cena and Sheamus on the TV, but like my genuine first memory, the reason I started watching and the reason I decided that I wanted to become a professional wrestler was I saw I heard Hugh Jackman was going to be on Raw. And I'm a big superhero fan. Real Steel was coming out at the time. So I was like, all right, I got to go see this. I got to go check this out. And then I walk in, my brother's watching it, and I see him punch Dolph Ziggler in the face.
I remember that, Raw.
This is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And he came out with Zack Ryder. So I was like, oh, if Hugh Jackman approves of this guy, then I approve of this guy. So that's kind of how I got into wrestling. It was that one moment. It was that one match. And this Funko It's kind of cool. It's a luchador wrestler in in a Wolverine suit. And this was a gift for my 21st birthday from my tag partner, Dante Drago. And he said he saw it and he thought of me because he knows that story. He knows that seeing Wolverine in a wrestling ring is what made me want to become a wrestler.
There you go.
He found a Funko of a wrestler dressed as Wolverine, which I thought was pretty
beautiful. Great. Yeah. So that's in case anybody wondering, that's Pop's 7-Eleven, number 7-Eleven, if you want to check that out. But you got to get a Hugh one day maybe to sign that thing. You know, that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be crazy. I actually got
Yeah. So like you mentioned, big superhero fan. You know, yes, you get the I know you get the comparisons of Tom Holland a lot. But what's that? I'm sorry.
Great compliment.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean it's true. But you know, are you more of a Spider-Man fan or Wolverine fan in that sense?
Spider-Man
all the way. Yeah, I love
Spider-Man's above everything. I go back and forth between Spider-Man and Captain America. Those are my two.
Okay.
Usually Spider-Man, though. But sometimes I'm on like Captain America highs, and I'm like, my guy, Steve Rogers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, so obviously, like we mentioned, Cap, you graduated Cap. What? Are you from the Long Island area?
I am. I grew up about 10 minutes from Creative Pro.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, it was so close.
And man, let's talk about Creative Pro for a second too. I mean, that place, I mean, has been blooming with talent. I mean, of course, you got yourself, you know, up and comer, coming through the ranks, and you were on FWF this week, and you had a big, huge show on the grand stage. But you know, some of the things I find interesting is, you know, of course, right now, a lot of talent from AEW is coming from there. Of course, MJF, Chris Statlander, Bear Bronson, Mark Sterling. I mean, the list goes on and on. Yeah. What is it? What is it? What's in the water at Creative Pro that's getting these folks signed over there? Because I mean, it got a lot of talent.
Well, thank you for that. On behalf of all of us, we appreciate that. I think it's just it's a testament to how good Matt, Brian, and Pat are. They really are so good at what they do, and they have such different styles. They bring in different point of views that you wouldn't otherwise look at, because a lot of the time everyone's looking at everything the exact same. Everyone's got this one but there are a lot of schools where everyone has the same tunnel vision. So all you ever learn is that one way. And when you go out to other companies or you try and branch out, you only know your way. Through Creative Pro, you know a bunch of different ways, because we do have, you know, MJF sometimes comes back and helps train people. He took time earlier in his career. He moved out to the Midwest, so he has that type of exposure. VSK has been a trainer. He was super instrumental in training me. Alex Reynolds used to train a lot of people there. I mean, when I first started, my main trainers were Alex and Vinny, and then Pat, because Brian was still with WWE at the time. So then Brian, that was the first time he was fired from WWE. That's when he started training me a lot more. And I've just had so many different people kind of like funnel me in a certain direction. So we have a lot of versatility, which is great. I think on top of that, Creative Pro it's not like any other school. It's the best school in the country because we're a family. We all want to get to the highest level. We all want to be on TV, but we want to help each other. We want to elevate one another. You know, there's not a single person there who we don't want to see successful. And, you know, just that morale, just that atmosphere really does make all the difference in the world.
Right. Yeah. And you know, and excuse me too, you know, I was focused on with AEW, but also you got folks in NWA, Impact Wrestling, GCW. I mean, you're running the gamut, you know, big time. So, speaking of that, you know, what are some of your goals as you kind of progress through your career here? You know, you have, I mean, there's a lot of different places you can work, which is a beautiful thing. So, and pro wrestling is healthier than I think it's been since the late 90s. So, you know, what are some of your maybe immediate goals and then goals for long term?
Yeah, definitely. So the childhood dream is WWE. That's always been the dream. I think everyone will say that. Right now, I think AEW is something special right now. I got through Creative Pro. I got so many good friends there. I got so many great talents there that I want to wrestle, that I would be honored to share the ring with. You know, I mean, Sammy Guevara thinks he's a vlogger. Apparently he is one. Apparently some people think he's better at it than me. So I don't know how I take to that.
Oh,
right? So you have that going on over at AEW that I kind of want to test the waters with. People, Austin Theory, I've never heard this one before. At Cap the Grand Stage this past weekend, someone compared me to Austin Theory. So I was like,
that's actually really good.
Now I got to – I mean, that's a great compliment. He's a great guy. He's like a prodigy. But, you know, but there's a difference. He comes out, he's holding the phone vertical. I'm holding it horizontal.
There you go.
That makes a big difference. Makes all the difference in the world.
You got to be pro.
He's great, but I'd love to navigate those waters. But I got to say, honestly, right now, like where my heart keeps telling me, because I had this exact question asked the other day, I'm so glad that Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor and that's still going. Because my first exposure to independent wrestling and the reason I fell in love with wrestling, the in-ring part of wrestling, because WWE made me fall in love with storytelling and made me fall in love with sports entertainment and, of course, wrestling, because they do have incredible wrestling there. But what made me really, really want to be like a wrestler, and be so confident and comfortable being an independent wrestler is watching back Tyler Black and Bryan Danielson and like Roderick Strong, Adam Cole, and AJ Styles. The list can go on. Watching all of them in Ring of Honor, like that is something so cool. And seeing Wheeler Yuta be their pure champion right now is so awesome. So like top to bottom, if I could stand in an ROH ring, that'd be pretty sweet.
Well, you know, and I would love to I would like for Ring of Honor to have that where it features a lot of young talent like yourself and, you know, your tag partner. So you know, some of the guys from Invictus Pro I kind of follow too. You got a lot of good talent out there. You know, that way you kind of have almost like an all-star group of you know, independent pro wrestling, but mixed in with some of these veterans like a Samoa Joe, you know, or Jay Lethal. You know, I think that would be really, really great because you can really build the future, you know, and especially if they could get a TV deal too as well. So that would be a pretty amazing, you know, place to be. I'm glad you brought up your style too, because I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, I couldn't really pinpoint one thing, which is great. Like how if I were to describe Jack Tomlinson the wrestler, like what style would it be? Or you know, and I wasn't really thinking of like a person specifically, like because I mean you got a lot of different tools in the shed, you know, high flyer, you know, your striking is really great. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the match as well too, but. Yeah, so that Austin Theory is a good one. But how would you describe yourself as far as a wrestler goes?
How would I describe myself? I have a way, but I'm not going to say it. I don't want to put that out there.
Gotcha.
I don't let someone else do it. I guess
more just style wise, not necessarily a person.
I'm adaptive.
There you go.
And what I mean by that is
that's good.
I've wrestled in front of crowds that if I jump off the top rope, they don't care. They're like, that's great. I want to see you punch the guy one time and then turn to me, the fan, and acknowledge that I'm here. And then I've wrestled in front of crowds where they don't want to be acknowledged. They just want to see you jump off the top rope and do something crazy.
Yeah.
First time wrestling for different companies, you never know what you're going to get. You kind of just have to go out there and give them your best and hope for the best. But when I get flowing with that company and I've wrestled a couple times with it, I kind of know what they'd like to see, what my Jack Pack wants to see when I'm out there. So I like to adapt to what they want. So I know it's not exactly what you asked, but that's how I'm. No,
that's good. No. I that's actually what I was thinking as well too. I guess, you know, when I was thinking, man, because you have so many tools, it is adaptive. I think that is the right answer for sure. Any, I guess, you know, as you're progressing through your career right now, I guess, do you have any type of maybe advice that you would have maybe to someone that might be listening that's thinking about joining pro wrestling or pro wrestling school or anything like that?
Yeah, well, that's the first step. You got to find a good school. Find a good school, and I'm a big believer in don't rush it. A lot of people are like, all right, I got to start like day one. All right, when do I get signed? When does this happen? Don't rush it. Go to a school, get the basics down, have practice matches behind closed doors where people won't ever see it, and make mistakes.
Yes.
Because I have to say, I to this day, I've yet to have a single match where I don't walk out there saying, damn, that could have been better. Or that, like, I've never had a perfect match.
Right.
I've had matches that were perfect for me that I liked, but like nothing's ever been perfect. That being said, I have avoided, thankfully, watch my next match. I have this catastrophic event take place that I'm about to say this now, but like I've avoided really terrible embarrassments in the ring, because when I started training when I was 15, I wasn't allowed to wrestle on shows until I was 18 years old, because New York State, you have to be 18.
Oh,
so
right.
I went through that whole period, even though I'm still growing, I went through that initial growing period behind closed doors where the only people that saw it are from Creative Pro. Like, I don't have to worry about being out there. I make my mistakes. I mean, I can watch back matches from 3 years ago and go, wow, that's bloody awful. I mean, we're going to watch back MJF, and I'm going to look at stuff like that and say, wow, bloody awful. I should not have done that. But, like, for the most part, yeah, be patient, trust the process. I know a lot of people don't like that phrase because it's overused, but it's true. But I say find a good school, be patient, and put in the work.
Yeah.
If you get those three, you're going to be set.
Right. I think that's really great, because I think that's some advice that some folks at Stanford need to follow, because I've been very critical with NXT. They've put, a lot of young talent out there that, the other athletic, and they seem to rush things a little bit as they're going through their process. I wish they would kind of take that off of mainstream television, but that's neither here nor there. But
it's different for everybody. Like, that works for me. I liked that was behind closed doors.
Gotcha.
I know people in wrestling who nothing clicked in training. Like, nothing was working, and they were forced to go on a show because something happened and it clicked for them. Some people need to be in front of a crowd. I didn't need it or want it. I do my growing internally a lot better than I do externally.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, that's I can see that for sure. So I guess growing up as a kid, I mean, we named a couple, but who are some of the wrestlers that you kind of looked up to, and even current day, some that you maybe kind of not really follow a path, but some folks that you really look towards that can be a mentor.
Yeah. Definitely Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona. Even though Major Pod cheated, Zack Ryder never cheated. Matt Cardona cheated. Zack Ryder never cheated. So definitely Zack Ryder. I love watching back Seth Rollins stuff. He's great. He's talented. He's taken a very similar path that I would be taking, running the independent scene, finding a local school. Brian Myers, as much as he cheated too. Disgustingly underrated. So talented, been so helpful. Yeah. VSK has been so incredibly helpful for me. So I have actually a list of people that are go-tos to watch, whether it's in ring, whether it's storytelling, whether it's selling, whether it's promos. But those guys always pop off.
That's good. Yeah, that's awesome. You mentioned Smart Mark. You probably worked him the most, and talk about him for a second too, because I actually talked about him last week on my show during my analysis portion. To me, in my opinion, even though he's not on the commentating booth, he's a current day Bobby Heenan. I mean, I think he's great. The way his promo skills, but Bobby Heenan could, of course, work. He could get in the matches, and we're seeing that. Coming up. But tell me some things about Smart Mark. How he's been a mentor to you.
Yeah, Mark's always had the promo of the top tier wherever he goes, and that man can go. He's got a really good mind for what he does as a performer. He's a part of Major Pod, so of course he cheated as well.
He did cheat, yes, I know.
Big cheater, big bad guy, not nice.
Yeah.
But you give credit where credit's due. I'll give credit to Mark where it's due. Never once have him and I shared the squared circle, and when it was done, it was like, all right, see you never. It was always all right. Let's see how can we grow, how can we make you better, because he really hasn't. He was my first ever match. It was a birthday party. First ever match was him. My first ever match on Cap TV, the Creative Pros YouTube show, was against him. When Major Pod cheated, it was with him. At Cap the Grand Stage, it was against him. my first ever Smart Mark rules match, which was like my first ever no disqualification match, was against him. Like pretty much ever. And actually, that was my first ever special referee match. Scarlett Bordeaux was the special guest referee.
Oh, okay.
Not every, but a lot of my big moments, I just had 5 in my career. It's always been Mark across the ring for me. So that's really
nice.
Cool.
That's nice. Awesome. Yeah, I love Mark. He's great. So let's talk about current day stuff. You know, you mentioned it a little bit. They cheated. Major Pod cheated. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know how much you want to get into it, but you know, the Cap had the grand stage this past weekend.
Yeah.
You know, some stuff happened. I don't know.
Were you there?
You know, I was unfortunately not there. I live in Louisiana, so a little bit too far. But
that's plus you.
Yeah. But I got some friends over there. They gonna let me know what the show was like, and yeah, I'm aware of what happened. So I don't know if you what you want to get into.
I'll say this first and foremost. Creative Pros, the grand stage. It's basically our mania. It was Capo-Mania weekend. It was backed up by FWF Live 3 the next night. Creative Pro, the grand stage will be streaming, I believe, on IWTV this Sunday at 9 p.m. So you're going to want to check that out. Listen. I don't want to spoil it for anyone. I don't want to spoil the outcome for anyone. But I think it can be noted that there is a very large piece of gold missing from this image with me right now. And I think it can be noted that I have stopped hashtagging images and pictures and tweets with hashtag MajorPodCheated. And I started hashtagging it with hashtag MajorPodCheated again. So just putting that out there, putting it out in the universe. I don't want to get angry. Don't want to get upset on your podcast. You seem like a great guy, but hashtag MajorPodCheated again.
I guess we'll just tune into this weekend IWTV. You know, we'll see this potentially disgusting act that happened. So, and then you mentioned as well, FWF Live 3 was this past weekend. Mm-hmm. The new FBI. That was a show that I was able to watch. I tuned in on Fight TV. You could actually order the replay of that as well too right now.
Yes.
If you haven't got a chance to watch it, but new FBI, you know, Lil Guido, Johnny Clash, with the disgusting help of one Sandman.
He beat us with a stick.
I know.
Stick.
I know. I saw it.
It was terrible. This world is outrageous. I don't know what's happening. I used to be so beloved. Me and my Jackback used to be so well treated. But in the matter of one weekend, Major Pod cheats again. Shook Crew cheats. Max Caster assaults me with